Thank you, everyone, for joining here. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for participating in the How to Make It in the Music Industry event and choosing this Beatroot distribution room. We're super excited and happy to have all you here. Let me start off by introducing myself and then talk about distribution. And then I'll pass it off to my colleagues as well. So let me give you first off a little bit of insight about music distribution and what it is. So first off, my name is Aric. I've worked in industry for over 15 years, worked with several companies and labels from Capitol Records, Universal Music, iHeartRadio. I worked with a ton of other labels, pretty much every label in the industry at some point in some regard, working records for basically every major artist that is currently out today. So I've had a lot of different roles, from promotion to A&R to executive producer and so on and so forth. That's enough about me. Basically, I started off, how I got into the industry was starting working in small recording studios. And eventually I got an internship at Universal Music. And then I never looked back and just been in the industry ever since. So that's a little bit about myself, how I got started. So now let's get into the topic of this room, which is, what is digital music distribution? In the simplest terms, the easiest way I can put it is how artists get their music delivered to the listeners so we, the listeners, can hear it. Traditionally, distributors were responsible for the physical creation and printing of music in the form of CDs, tape cassettes, vinyl, 8-track, whatever it may be, any medium that there was, right? But today, digital distribution allows artists to send music directly to the online stores like Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, Apple, which is where music is mostly consumed today. So how does this all work, and why is it important? Well, back in the day, record labels and the distributors would be responsible for getting the records physically into the stores, and then people would physically go to the stores and buy them. This system does still exist today, but it's nowhere near as popular as, I'm sure you all know. Streaming is the main way that people consume music today. So now digital distributors have essentially cut out that middleman of the physical stores and taken the music directly from the artist to the listeners, which is just super easy and super cool. Another reason that this is important is probably the most important reason is because now artists don't have to be signed to a record label in order to release their music. Signing a record deal used to be the only way for an artist's music to be heard anywhere, but now anyone can get their music out anywhere in the world because of digital distribution and companies like Beatroot. And since you don't have to sign a record deal anymore, they can keep and own their own music, which is obviously very important, as opposed to the old system where a label would own the music when an artist signed a record deal. So digital distribution has essentially replaced and eliminated the need for an artist to have a recording deal or sign a record, to sign to a record label. So today, for an artist, especially an independent artist, digital distribution is the most important thing that I can think of, because it gets your music out all over the world into as many ears as possible, and it helps get you paid for your music instead of that money going to the label. So obviously these are very, very important things. And that is basically, in a nutshell, what digital music distribution is and why it's so important today. And I know I went through that fast, and I'm sorry. We just have to get to, I got to make sure we get everyone some time to speak and give you all the other things that we can do in this space, in digital distribution. So now let me introduce the rest of my colleagues joining us today so they can tell you a little bit about themselves and their background and what their particular roles are with Beatroot and how they got into the industry. So first up, I want to introduce Rio. He is a client services rep for Beatroot. He works with independent artists as well, and he's a new member of the team, the client services team, and he's been a great addition so far. So Rio, please take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Real. As Eric just mentioned, I'm a new member of the team here at Beatroot. I'm a songwriter, and I got my start here about a year ago. I was selected to be a part of a writing camp. After the writing camp was over, I stuck around at the studio that we have here in Memphis at 4U Recording, and I interned. I interned from probably about the summertime up until January of this year. And then I came on board as a client service rep. So particularly my role as a client service rep, what I do is every artist that signs up with Beatroot, you get a direct person that you can reach out to and tangibly touch and make communication with. Whereas with the other distributors, you don't really get that. And so basically my job is to help you with your rollout, help you come up with your dates, with your marketing plans for whatever song or album that you're going to put out. In addition to that, if you need any assistance along the way, if you need to just tap in with me, give me my opinion on some music, or help me or pick my brain for any, ideas, I'm at your service. So that's basically my role as a client service rep.
Awesome. Thank you, Real. Thank you so much for that. Next up, let's send it to Jason. Jason is the head of our client services team for Beatroot. Jason has worked in the music industry for a number of years. He has worked at companies like TI's Grand Hustle Entertainment, working in studios and in marketing, working with artists at every level. And I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself and how he got started.
Yeah, thank you, Aric. Welcome, people of RYTMO. Hope you're having a good day so far. Happy Friday. Glad you could join us. I know my title is manager, but I do exactly what Real does. All we do is service the client. That may be an artist, a label, or a management team. But basically, we're here for you to hold your hand through the entire process from getting your music to the fans. And we also make sure that you get paid for that. So I work with great people like Nikki, Angela, and Aric. We're kind of known, the client service team is known as the operating system between everything. We're going to make sure that if you have an issue, we're going to filter it to the right person. So the way it flows is you're going to talk to someone like Mickey first. He's going to say, hey, Jason, Real, I have someone perfect for the company. Let's partner with them. Cool. Next option is we're going to hand it off to Angela. Angela's going to she's going to work in tandem with Aric to get you into our systems. And then we're going to give you the hands-on training on how to use our systems. Once that's completed, you're ready to upload music and get it to the world, get it to the fans. And so if there's any issues that come up, you're going to talk to Real or myself. We're going to make sure that we're going to take care of you. So we'll kind of take the situation at hand, look at it and say, is this the job for Mickey, Angela, or Aric? Most of the time it's Aric, pray for his soul, but he backs us up at every turn. So no matter what the issue is, we're going to work as a team to make sure that we provide solutions and that you don't have to do it alone. You're not an email to us. You're not a number on a screen. You're a real life person. We recently just had a retreat and Mickey said something very impactful. He said he knows where artists come from and a lot of them have holes in their art. So it's not just the business and the data entry. From the client services team perspective, you're a human being with real stuff going on. You face real issues, not just in distributing music. So we're going to be there for you however we can, whether that's through education, problem solving, or just being there to hear what you're going through and maybe provide some type of insight on how to get yourself out of these situations and back on track to inspire the rest of the world, which is what all you creatives ultimately do. And we make sure you get paid for it. So I'm gonna hand it off I'll give it back to Aric.
All right.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much for that, Jason. Yeah, he's client services, like you mentioned, is the glue to everything. And yeah, we truly do work as a team. And so, yeah, those are great points. Thank you so much for that. Next up, we have a seasoned veteran in the music industry, a man that has accomplished a ton in this game, working for companies like Arista Records, Jive Records. He's a well-known A&R music executive and done a ton of other things. I believe he's an entrepreneur as well. He's signed gigantic artists such as T-Pain, Jaquan, the list goes on. He's worked with many, many others. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mickey Wright, AKA Memphis.
All right, you guys can hear me this time, right?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. Yes, thanks, Aric, for the introduction. Also, shout out to my team members up here. Most wonderful team members I've ever had, by the way. Anyway, so yes, I'm Mickey Wright, AKA Memphis. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Proud to be working at Made in Memphis Entertainment, especially at Beatroot, where I'm A&R in the business development department. And I left Memphis. I went to New York. I went to school at IAR, which is Institute of Audio Research for Engineering. I kind of went from there, the internship program, and it took me to Arista Records, where I worked in the video department, and actually moved my way up to the A&R department after asking questions about what A&R actually was. In the via me looking for where the artists were signed, where the artists were, because I saw these plaques on the walls, which got me up to the A&R floor, and I ultimately ended up working for L.A. Reid, Mark Pitts, all these different legends in the Jermaine Dupri, all these different legends that I ended up working up under, that actually end up letting me get the ball, putting my own records out as an intern, and those records started to kind of like do their thing. With me being from the South and being in New York, being from Memphis, being in New York, all of a sudden my record started to work. I ended up getting a job as, a director of A&R, and then that jumped me up to be vice president of A&R. And from there, I just being a personality, I ended up having a TV show called The Deal, where I would introduce new artists. And the relatability factor was always there with me because I kind of started off as an artist. So I kind of like, a lot of things that I was going through in my life and pain and different things. So it's almost like I relate to the artist first, being in the A&R department, so it's like the artist, I connect with the artist first. I find out what they're going through. I hear it through their music. And at the end of the day, the music still has to sound good. And back in the day when, like they said, when these labels were, using record companies or record stores, you would actually go in and get the experience of going through CDs, seeing other people in the store and things like that. But they were spending so much money on things like that, that the game had to change, even though that experience was pretty cool. But now it's like, it's even cooler because so you can do it yourself. You can do this yourself. Labels are really losing power out there because of companies like Beatroot and, people being able to stay independent and distribute their own music. And that's how you get paid. Like, a lot of artists create. I tell creators all the time, yes, you're a creator and you're great at making these records. But when you're done with that, what do? And you have to you got to distribute this music. And a lot of these, through an aggregator, and that's what we are. Distribution companies, any distribution company is called an aggregator, and that's who you would have to get with to talk to these companies like Apple Music or getting your music on iTunes or Google Play, things like that. So basically, you can't talk to these people; they're not going to talk to you. And you don't want to talk to them anyway. So many things you would have to do to be loading your music yourself to these different people. So when we come in, Beatroot, we offer so many services for the artists other than these companies that you just give them your music. You pay this $20 fee a year and they just put your music out there and whatever happens, happens. But, coming into a place like us with like a full service distribution company where we can really help the artists expand, reach other artists and things like that, and help you to understand, what it is you're doing with us and why you would choose a company like Beatroot over a DistroKid or a TuneCore, because we offer so many more services and so much closer to the artists as a whole. So, I think you guys, I'm glad RYTMO would even do something like this, because I definitely feel like, we're all about reaching out to the youth, and that's my spiel, and we're here to help you guys however you need to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mev. Yeah, you bring up great points that just about distribution as a whole, but specifically what Beatroot offers. So that's really special. So thank you for that. I think we still have a little bit of time, so I kind of wanted to throw it to our resident artist here, the Angela Blair, sitting with us, also a part of our lovely admin team. But yeah, the lovely Angela Blair. Angela, did you want to just say really briefly what you do with the company and little background about yourself and how you got into the industry?
Sure. So again, my name is Angela Blair. I'm on both sides. I'm a creative, I'm an artist and a singer-songwriter, but currently I serve as the administrative assistant for Beatroot. And I'm new to the industry on the business side. I started with the company at the end of 2020. I came on as an intern, and February 2021, I came on and I actually started as a client service representative. I still do a little bit of client services work as Jason and Real does, but now the bulk of my work, all administrative things, I'm the one making sure that, again, clients, I'm sending out the contracts for new potential clients that potentially will be joining Beatroot. I do a little bit of onboarding tasks for new employees as well as for new clients as well. You can think of me as the one, it takes a lot of organization. So all the files, paperwork, that's me. And pretty much whatever the team needs me to do, I'm there to just back up everyone. We all help each other out in any capacity that we can. But I'm in constant communications with client services, with business development, with content ops, which is Aric do. So I kind of have my hands, I'm the middle person, if you want to say that. But the bulk of my work is, yes, administrative tech, and however I can. So that's a little bit of what I do. And I think what made it an easy transition for me is because I am an artist and I know that creative side. I know how it feels and what artists need. So for me to get into the distribution world it's like, this is what I needed. So I know how to serve others in that capacity. So that's just a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angela. How, if you don't mind me asking, how did you know you wanted to basically, you already were and are an artist. So how did you know that you wanted to also get into the distribution side of things, or, you know, put your foot into across that line as well?
Well, I didn't know that it would be distribution. I've always known that I wanted to do something within the music industry on the business side. That's what I actually went to school for. So I got my degree in Middle Tennessee State University in Murfreesboro. My degree was in music business and the recording industry. So I've always wanted to know, like, as an artist, I definitely wanted to know the business side of things, and even work on that side as I was pursuing my own, career at the time. Now, I didn't know that it would be on the distribution side. However, like I have a question for you next, but with that being said, like, as an independent artist, we're seeing so much success with artists that are independent without all these labels and, things that labels do. So I think being on the distribution side it increases a lot of growth in different areas of the business, not having to go through the label. So my question would be, with the success that we see with independent artists, do you feel that, and you can kind of jump in to anybody, do you feel that labels are eventually going to go away in a sense? Or
I feel like, well, Aric, you can go first if you want to.
No, please go ahead, man.
No, I feel like the major labels, they're just gonna, if you can't beat them, join them. I feel like eventually they're gonna figure out a way to some kind of way, because how I feel about them, they don't really care about the artists like distributors do. So they're going to figure that out soon. They can't figure it out now because they've made so much money from it, and it's hard to break away from making so much money from off of a person, and all of a sudden realizing that person has realized that I can keep most of my money and I don't really need you. So they know these relationships are ending. It's not getting better. They're ending. These labels are watching these late relationships end, and these people are not coming back, like a bad relationship. So it's like eventually I feel like they're going to come up with some kind of way to mimic what distributors do, and that's care about the artists. Whether it's genuine or not, I will never know. But that's what I feel like is what's going to happen. They're going to try to figure this out.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. Personally, to be honest, I don't know. But if you follow the trends of the way the landscape has been shifting, I think Mem hit it right on the head. I think they're going to always find a way, because there's just too much money involved, right? They have too much money. They have the gatekeepers. They still have some relationship in place, and they're in bed, so to speak, with a lot of the people that have the power within the industry. But that power is being ripped away from them at a tremendous speed right now, and they're just kind of running around crazy trying to figure out how do they stay in this game and hold that power that they currently have. But again, they're losing it. So I think Memphis hit it right on the head. They're going to pivot and try to find a way to see why they're losing the power, what people are trying to gravitate to, and find a way to, I guess, transform into that space. But yeah, ever since the birth of Napster, and they were trying to fight it instead of trying to embrace the new technology, they've been trying to make up that ground ever since that they've lost since the initial entrance, so to speak, of digital music and MP3 and waves and all that kind of stuff. So trying to fight technology was never the right way. They should have embraced it and found a way to work with it. And I think 20 years later, they're figuring that out, saying, all right, we got to adapt, we got to pivot, because we don't have the control, we don't have the power anymore. The power is in the hands of the listeners. So the listeners get to decide what's a hit song now, who are the next superstars. And before, all that power was in the hands of the labels, but that's been ripped away. So I think Mem hit it right on the head. They're going to try and pivot, trying to reshape and try to figure out how to remain in the space that they're losing control in. Yeah.
But it also takes a special artist mind frame to not let that money that the label dangles in front of them get them, because you know, people coming from nothing. So it's like you dangle $500,000 in a person that has nothing but is super creative. You know, you don't, you know, based on what they're going through in life, you know, $500,000 looks pretty nice, $1 million, $2 million, but it's like they have no idea what's wrapped up in that upfront money.
Right.
And once that upfront
100%.
money gets low and they figure out what's happened and what end of the creative process percentage they're on, even though they did all the work as far as, you know, what they did. If it didn't exist, the label would have nothing to work. So it takes a special mind frame to stay independent. And I feel like that's where we come in, helping people to understand why it's so important to, you know, like, what do you tell a person that needs the money? You know, they take the money and they figure it out. So I feel like it's either through losing the relationship with that label, being burned, and you feel like they took advantage of me at my lowest, or I'm just gonna stay independent and I'll take the long way around. You know, so it's really, you know, it's also on the artist too to where they are in life. Or, you know.
Great point. Absolutely. Yeah.
Maintain your ownership and make the money for yourself. Holla at
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we have a few seconds left. So really quick, everyone just throw it out. What would you give yourself, your younger self? What advice would you give if you needed a piece of advice? What advice would you give your younger self or someone that's currently listening and trying to get into the game right now and get their foot in the door? What piece of advice would you give?
It's a good
I would
idea.
say
Do
so.
it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Good idea. Do it.
Yeah, stay the boss. Stay the boss the whole time. Before you get started, you stay the boss. Stay around great people that can help you, but at the same time, stay financially in front of your creative process.
I would say connect with someone that's kind of sort of like a mentor, someone that's doing what you want to do, to kind of get some guidance. Yeah.
I wanted to piggyback off of something that Angela said real quick. We got 1 minute.
Yeah.
But don't compare your journey to anybody else's. I'm a songwriter. I didn't think I was going to break into the industry as an A&R client service person. Stay consistent, stay persistent. Don't compare yourself to other people's journey. We all have our own individual, unique journeys that we have to follow.
That's a great piece of advice, actually. Yeah. I think that's very helpful. A lot of times people try to compare themselves and look at other people and where they are in their journey, like you said, Real. But it shouldn't be about, you know, what comparing yourself to. It's about what can you do best that day and you know, improving on what you do every single day. So you're kind of in competition with yourself, I feel like, every single day, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the only way you're going to maximize your potential. But yeah.